Good morning and welcome to Ask the Accountant, episode number 97. 3 weeks away from the big 100. Probably ought to start planning something for that, right? As always, you join me on a Monday morning live at 8:30 in the morning. We are here to talk all things industry, tech, and whatever else is going on that we want to have a chat about. Today, you can notice Aaron hasn't come back from his holidays looking a bit rough. Clive is here. Clive, welcome from all the way from Ireland. So, Clive, say hello, introduce yourself, tell us where you're from, what you do.
Thanks very much, Johann. So anyone who doesn't know me, I'm Aaron's Irish cousin, as you can clearly see from the handsome good looks and the resemblance, the glasses, the beard, and the whole shooting gallery. No, folks, thank you very much for having me on. A long-time follower and watcher, so it's great to be able to be here. My name's Clive Hand, and I am the founder of Bluestone Accounting. It's a digital accounting practice based over here in Ireland, where we focus on providing an outsourced finance function for growing businesses. So those businesses that do maybe 500,000 up to 10 million and who need a bit of bookkeeping, accounting, payroll, all rolled into one, but don't want to have an internal team. We're their team for them. So yeah, that's a bit background about me. I love all things tech, accounting industry, where the future of accounting is going to go. So looking forward to this conversation.
Fantastic. Looking forward to having this conversation with you. So let's jump into the news, because there's not much to talk about, but one main headline that our viewers would probably want to know about is the planned changes for PAYE at HMRC reporting have been delayed. So these are the plans to report the number of hours each employee has worked to earn the salary that or the wage that they've earned. So this has now been delayed until April 2026, as has the need to break down where your dividends came from, so on a self-assessment tax return, and the need to report start and end dates of self-employment. But I kind of thought we already did that. I'm sure that's on the form already, but never mind. I mean, overall, I don't get stressed by these changes, because that's the software company's job to report the right information. I already put the number of hours into a payroll system. I already put a breakdown of where each dividend came from into tax calc. It's the software's jobs to make sure that information gets through now to meet the requirements. But for those that don't have as comprehensive softwares, you've brought yourself another 2 years, basically, to start looking around and finding a solution that's going to do it for you. Clive, off air, you were saying that you guys in Ireland have got a bit more of an advanced RTI, real-time information process for wages in Ireland than we do. What do you guys have to do?
Yeah. So back in 2019, they started a PAYE modernization program that involved basically the live reporting of payroll to revenue on and before employees got paid. So very similar to what you have there. There's some changes over the last number of years. For example, this year saw the introduction of enhanced reporting, revenue reporting, ERR, which now looks at reporting all travel and subsistence related expenses. And I think the idea was to close the loophole or crack down on directors who kind of pay themselves a low salary, but maybe have inflated their mileage claimage maybe a bit, maybe allegedly. Not saying that they did or anything like that, but this is phase one. So phase one, we've got to make sure that anything that's vouched or unvouched is reported live as well. Now, funny enough, it can be done within the payroll, but it's done alongside the payroll. So what that means, for example, is we use BrightPay to do and submit our payroll, but they also have a new product called Bright Expense. And for this year, for free, we get to use that in order to submit those expense details as well. So it's going to be interesting next year in January 2025 how much Bright is going to charge us for the privilege of using that expense submission tool. And then we got loads coming up here.
Expense tool.
What's that?
Is that fully cloud-based, the expense tool, is it?
It is actually, yeah. Funny enough, it is. So you do your payroll within Bright, and then there's a new button on the top right-hand corner that says send to Bright Expense. And it then jumps into Bright Expense. You log in through the online portal, bang in your email address and your password, and then you go. But yeah, it's going to be interesting because we got auto enrollment coming up now. Started next year. You guys already have auto enrollment for your pensions. We have statutory sick pay here now. It's also introduced as well. So there's a lot of payroll changes that are happening at the minute. So it's going to be interesting to see where this industry goes from a professional point of view as well.
Yeah, definitely. Right, before we go any further, I do need to apologize. I've neglected our audience. I normally jump through and say hello to everyone that's saying hello. So good morning to Cheryl. Good morning to Paul. Good morning to Dave from London today. And good morning to Kirsty. Thank you very much for joining us. As always, guys, if you've got any questions or any insights into any of our topics, please feel free to put them in the comments, and I promise I will come back to them. But yes. Right, so obviously, even something as simple as payroll, in one way, you guys are further advanced than us with your expenses and reporting of those, but then you've not got auto enrollment. Like, I mean, come on, we've had that for how many years? So, talk to us about running an accounting firm in Ireland and looking across that little bit of water to us and going, we're better at that bit than you guys, but actually, we really wish we had this tool or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's quite interesting that you tune into this podcast or other podcasts every week, and you listen to the tech news and what's happening in the industry, and you go, "Wow, I'd really love a little piece of that." So you have to kind of, if you take a step back, and I know it's been mentioned a few times that I would say Ireland definitely is years behind where the UK is, and Johann, you've mentioned in a previous conversation, the UK is probably a couple of years behind where Australia is and the US and so on and so forth. There's this always kind of catch-up approach. But the thing is, when we're in Ireland, and it's a bit like Tim's conversation last week in Guernsey, so close. We are so close to you guys that it's so hard to ignore, right? Like for me, I'm in the northeast of Ireland, literally 15 minutes up the road. I'm in Northern Ireland, which is the UK. Oh, gee, that probably won't go down well for me later on. But anyway, but point being is, because I'm so close to it, I get to see both sides of the fence, right? So, I was doing payroll for the UK, did the auto enrollment, set up the nest, the pensions, the whole shooting gallery. So I could do both. And when you do both, you get a nice privilege to see what the pros and cons or the benefits or who's winning and who is losing. So in Ireland, just to add to that as well, it's very traditional when it comes to accounting services. I have an accountant. He does my books once a year. I bring in any old rubbish to him, and I see him about a month or two later. I don't know why it takes him so long, by the way. But then he rings me up, and we have a phone call, and I go in, we have a meeting. He tells me what my tax bill is. He gives me my other bill, and off we go, and I'll see him next year. What we do as a service, providing an outsourced finance function, is a pretty new concept, but it's really good to see that it's a growing concept here in Ireland. Now, like recently, I just went and had a chat with a cafe owner in town here recently, and he's got a new square till, pretty cool. So I was asking him, does it connect up to his accounting software? And he's like, no. And I goes, all right. I goes, oh, what accountants are you using? And he told me the name of the firm, and he said, oh, I'm using them because that's what my dad used, right? All right. And he goes, oh, I'd like to get connected, but that's not what they do, And unfortunately, it was when I left afterwards. I goes, hold on a minute. I could go back in and help him set up all his systems and let his accountants then do the year-end work. So I might do that. But the point is, we don't have the systems, the technology, and the expertise to deliver the same type of efficient services that you can in the UK. And that's a hamstring, right? Mm-hmm. And what we do is, you have to remember from the UK point of view is, in Ireland, we're looking at what you guys do. Guys in the UK don't look at what the Irish are doing, what the French are doing. You might look at the US and Australia, but you're not looking at your closest neighbors.
Yeah.
So here in Ireland, like, we watch BBC, we watch ITV, we watch Channel 4, we watch the UK news. So we effectively feel part of the the whole ecosystem in a way, especially when it comes to accounting and technology and software like that. And then you go, oh, okay, what about us over here? You new release, right? Not available in Ireland. All right, okay. And you feel left out. And the reason is you just can't deliver the same efficient services as you can in the UK. And so you try, and then it kind of it gets to a point where it can't break through that glass ceiling, and that's where the frustration is. But I think with the more services that are coming on like mine across Ireland, it's starting to become harder and harder for software vendors in the UK to ignore what we're trying to do here, and to say, oh, hold on a minute, we've got this potential market of a couple of million extra users, businesses that are available on our doorstep, a half an hour's flight away. Let's go and explore this. And it's through conversations like this we're building that awareness with these vendors. And they're coming over and having conversations. And when they're having those conversations, they're realizing, hold on a minute, Ireland's not that much different than it is in the UK. And we're going, yeah, we know. Why? Because we just copy everything that you guys do anyway, right? VAT, payroll, legislation. It's very, very similar. Well, it's all driven by EU level anyway now at this stage. But it's very, very similar. And we're seeing more and more coming over here, which is brilliant. But it's not enough. In terms of like integrations, for example, it can be a real struggle. So the client there 2 weeks ago is using Pleo for their expense management, and it works really, really, really well. I need a phone call with Revolut. And Revolut said, oh, we can do expense management. It's only €5 a month versus Pleo's 35. And he's like, oh, I want to move over. And I goes, you can't. I goes, Revolut doesn't connect with QuickBooks. It does with Xero, but doesn't, So he's like, I'm doing it anyway. I was like, okay, let's figure out a workaround here, okay? Yeah. And then little things like, what else we talk? Oh, Go Cardless. Brilliant piece of equipment, tool. Yeah. Does it work over here? Yeah, but not with QuickBooks. So it depends. It really depends, like who you're talking to or working with, like Modular as well. So you're asking all these guys to come over, and then they have to work out the use case or the business case for developing an Irish version of the product. And what you're actually seeing now is some Irish guys starting to build their own products for the Irish market and then tailoring it for the UK. So we can see the likes of livecosts.com, the Brennan brothers down there, built a nice piece of AP construction industry software. They're going to be at Account-X next couple of weeks. They're there at all the shows, But you've all these Irish companies tech companies starting to pop up because the demand is here, but it's not being served. So to answer your question, sorry, I'm rambling on. It's not easy. It's an uphill struggle, but we're getting near to the top half of that hill. We're not at the base level anymore, which is good, but we'd still like a little bit better. Anyway, I'll be quiet.
No, that's really helpful. Like, because I don't think a lot of people realize, like, QuickBooks is a real pain in the backside for integrations from that point of view. Because actually, the products you have in Ireland versus the product that is available 15 minutes up the road, that's two different products.
Yes.
You've got QuickBooks UK and then QuickBooks rest of the world.
Yes.
And yeah, the resources behind the rest of the world team doesn't feel like, for the amount of space and the amount of different legislations and territories they have to cover, it doesn't feel like it's enough.
No.
Whereas, go on.
Oh, sorry, you've hit the nail right in the head. Like it's crazy to think like QBO rest of the world is like Ireland, South Africa, Singapore, Middle East, around Dubai. They have a huge area to cover, and they don't have the same amount of resources. So it's like, here, just grab Ireland, wrap it up in a little package, throw it across the fence in there to the UK guys, and hopefully somebody will pick it up there.
Yeah, and Sage, I know their product is the same product. I know it's the same product across us, the US, I think Ireland, and everything. I'm fairly sure with my conversations with my engager hat on, when I've had conversations with Sage about APIs and stuff, that's a lot simpler. Now, what I can't remember is Xero's product. Is Xero in Ireland different to Xero in Northern Ireland and UK?
Yeah, so Zero in Ireland is the global version, the global
Right.
version. And here's actually a really good example of the guys in the UK now. Oh, tails up. Let's have a look at what's happening over in Ireland. So, like, they've put two guys on the ground here, based out of Milton Keynes, get flights in from Birmingham to Ireland. They're traveling around to different areas, visiting different practices every 2 weeks. They're doing regional workshops to help introduce Zero into your accounting practice. They've really, really gone deep into the relationship approach in order to build the product. They've also then teamed up with two providers in Ireland. There's some really good guys called Perola, Mark and Claire in Perola. It's a cloud accounting, it's a cloud payroll provider. But they've also provided the VAT integration, because in Ireland we have a VAT on invoices like you have, but we have a VAT on sales receipts. So we have a hybrid where you pay the VAT on sales receipts when you get paid, but you can
Yep.
still claim the VAT on the purchases based on the invoice date. So Mark and Claire have built this hybrid VAT module for Zero that they can plug into. And then we also have guys like is it Innovation 2020? They do CPD over there. We have something similar called OmniPro here. They specialize in assisting accounting practices with like compliance and regulation and training and stuff like that. And they would be the go-to place for your like FRS templates and your work papers and stuff. They're now partnering with Zero to help provide a accounts production FRS 105 for the Irish market as well. So something's happened in Zero there over the last year and a half to say, right, these guys are next door to us. Let's get in here hard and heavy. Let's get on the ground. Let's meet them. Like, they have advisory council. They have the Irish Awards. They just decided Ireland is the go-to place here and build a presence.
And for the sake of two people and some travel expenses, you think, well, surely the others can be doing something similar. Yeah. And do you have open banking over there?
Oh yeah, actually, the open banking is really good here. The thing is, it's definitely not utilized as much as it is in the UK. Like, it's so bad here. Our retail banks tried to have a chat to each other a couple of years ago because Revolut was a threatening competitor, right? And so our Bank of Ireland, AIB, is it EBS or somebody else, and Ulster Bank kind of came together and said, "Hey, why don't we create our own online digital platform, banking platform, to compete against Revolut?" And needless to say, the competition authority here said, "Nope, that ain't happening." But it's crazy because, like, when we do like simple bank connections, through the bank feeds and stuff like that, some of the banks don't make it easy. They don't make it easy at all. And there is such a legacy of old technology and infrastructure and mindset that there is no kind of innovation coming from the retail traditional banks here. So I think they were pushed into the bank feeds more than anything else. But for example, if you start using Revolut or even Wise, like I like Wise, Wise talks to QuickBooks. It says, "Oh, I can see your supplier invoices. Which ones would you like us to pay?" So, yeah, I'll pay that one. I'll pay that one. Thank you very much. And not only does it see the invoices that need to be paid, it'll actually record the payments back in QuickBooks for you.
Yep.
I just think banks are just missing the trick. What I would like to see in open banking going forward is the ability to pull down the bank statements as well from clients' accounts instead of sending out this repeating email every month. "Dear Mr. Mrs., can I have your bank statements, please?" Why? Do your bank recs? Is it not connected to the bank feed? The old story.
Yeah.
So I was talking to the banking team in Intuit there a couple of months ago because they moved the banking authorizations from their French entity to a new Irish company. I said, "Is this possible?" I said, "It's something that they're working on." So that was pretty cool to hear.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, it is getting better. There's still challenge. There is a tech company here in Ireland, two sisters from Goldman Sachs, Porsche and India. They have a company called Zelda. It's spelled XELDA, and they've done a really good job. I just think their marketing approach is wrong. They're trying. So basically, it does AAP and AR with a digital bank account in the middle, right?
Right.
APA or a digital bank account in the middle. Upload your invoices, OCR, all of that good stuff, order approval, and all that sort of jazz. But they're trying to sell it to businesses,
But
one business at a time,
yeah,
right? As opposed to partnering with accountants like ourselves who can then promote it and sell it to the clients, But I said to them, you got to get over to Accountex. You got to get to the UK market because it'll do well over there, but it won't do well here because we're just not up to that level yet, but we're getting there. We're getting there.
Yeah. The early adopters might be starting to embrace it, but that bell curve could be a 5-year bell curve. And have they got the funds to survive a 5-year gradual uptake? That's the question.
Well, that's it too. Like it is a bit on the more pricier side, but I think it offers great value. Like all of these tools offer great value. Like I seen a post on LinkedIn there during the week about, I can't remember what software it was. It was like £10 a month. I can't remember what it was. It's like £2.50 a week. Will you go away? And it's something like for non-VAT, for small self-assessments, sole traders that are not VAT registered. I was like, of course he can sell them £10 a month. That's nothing. All my subscriptions, they're charged back to the clients at cost price. So, if I get a discount, happy days, but it's still going back to them at the same price that they're going to get online anyway. And we recently had this where a client is an e-commerce client. He averages about 400 orders a month. And all of a sudden, his pre-orders came in and he released them, he dispatched them, and it's gone up to 800 to 1,000 orders a month. Now, his plan only covers the first 500. So I said to him, I says, look, I goes, can we up it to 1,000 a month? Or I can charge you €2 per invoice. Which would you like, And it really is about you valuing your time and explaining the difference to the clients. When you have that conversation with them, they're going, go the tech route, just do whatever it is to automate, keep the price down. But more importantly, they want the numbers quicker. So whatever it is, it's not about the cost of £10 for a piece of software. It's about getting accurate, timely information. And imagine like that £10 a month for that, even though they're a sole trader and you get the numbers in there, you can have really good conversations. There could be some tax savings in there that'll save them more than £144 a year. So come on.
And that's the problem, isn't it? People don't value their time.
No, they don't. No,
they don't put a pounds and pence figure on their time, and that then leads them undervaluing the tools around them. Like, I have this argument pretty much monthly with one of my clients that it's like, come on, I can put you onto Apron to run all of your payroll payments in one click. You're sat there on a Friday night, every Friday for an hour, watching TV, making payments manually through your bank. But because he's sat there doing it through whilst watching TV, he has no value on that time. That time is £0. To spend money on a product means it's now a cost deficit. It was like, well, what could you be doing with that hour? Instead of sitting watching TV doing that, you could be sat watching TV, paying attention to your wife, or like there's other things you can do. But because in his mind it's like, well, it's not like I'm sat wasting my time 9 till 5 here. So for that reason, it's got no value. So trying to convince him to pay for a software to replace it to save him time is an absolute uphill battle.
Yeah, I see that a lot with, like, in all fairness, it is more, that mindset is linked to smaller size businesses, and the guys are one-man bands and are fighting to fight themselves. And yeah, it's like, I completely agree with everything you just said. What could you better do with your time for that hour? As you said, look, they could be working on a new pricing methodology. They could be working on a marketing strategy. They could be doing something that's going to push the needle forward on that business rather than doing something that adds no value whatsoever in terms of processing employee payments. So like, they have to teach this early with new business startups. You have to spend money to buy time in order to not just free up your time, but make better use of it. And you guys are very fortunate to have all of those apps and integrations that allows you to go, oh, which one will I use today?
Yeah.
And we don't have that. We kind of have to do and use what we can until someday something else comes along and opens up kind of options, I suppose, but yeah, that mindset needs to change with small account or small business owners. It's so important. That's something we try to drive here, is that technology is just a tool. It alleviates the non-value added tasks, and it helps us focus on better value added things and have better conversations as a result as well. So we just need to get the rest of the country on board here. We need to be in like a rowing boat, and we all need to be rowing in the same direction.
It sounds like you guys are very much where you are today, where we were in the UK 5-8 years ago. Like when I first came into the industry in 2017, it was very much like there was a movement to modernize the accounting and bookkeeping services and the perception of this industry. That in that time we've gone from suits and ties at conferences all the way through to hoodies and jeans at conferences, and all of that good stuff. But I think what held us back then was the technology just didn't exist. What's more frustrating for you guys is that you're trying to do what we've already done, and the technology exists. It's just not available in your geographical area. I think that's the biggest challenge there, is that I can see it. It's there.
I can touch it. I can literally touch it.
I can get on a boat and go and play with it. Or I can drive 15 minutes up the road and go and play with it. I just can't get it across the border.
It's like there's two towns in between us, Dundalk and Castleblaney. And if you drive from Dundalk to Castleblaney, as you're driving to Castleblaney, the sat nav says, "Oh, you're now in the UK," and everything is in miles per hour rather than kilometers. And then a couple of miles later, it says, "Oh, you're in the Republic of Ireland. Everything is in now kilometers per hour." And literally, when you touch it and you're so close to it, it's very, very, very frustrating. It's like, why can't you just build an API? Like, what's going on here, guys? We speak the same language. We have very similar tax rules. Everything is very, very similar. It can be quite frustrating at times. But look, as I said earlier on, we're climbing up that hill, and we're getting there, and it will come, which is ridiculous when you think about it, because Ireland is seen as like a tech hub, really, right?
Yep.
But not in the accounting industry. Like Stripe. Let's talk about Stripe for a second. Two brothers from Limerick. Yeah. There's also like Google have their headquarters here, Microsoft. Like Microsoft and Amazon go to tech companies in Ireland. Oh, you want to start a tech company? No problem. Have some free server space for the next 24 months. Oh, do you need some mentoring and help? No problem. Let's get our engineers in here and help you build a product. Yeah, but they're building great products, but just not in the accounting industry here for some strange reason. Yeah, so look, it's getting better. Look, at the alternative is I just moved to the UK, right? It's like I was over. Yeah, well, somewhere a wee bit warmer, maybe. You're up there in Edinburgh. I was like, oh, crikey. No, we went for a short break to family over in Surrey there last week, and we just took the kids out for mini golf on Sunday morning. We were driving around, and I seen this lovely building, and I had like, I don't know, the name of an accountancy firm over, and I was like, oh, interesting. What would life be like in the UK as an accountant and a tech guy? Would it be easier? Would it be better? It's hard to know, but it'd be so much easier to put together a package of services and how you would deliver those services and the tools that you would do, absolutely. And then you go, we're so close to the UK, like surely it would just, like, I have a UK practicing license. I was like, that bit's sorted. Just jump in there with some CIPP certification and refresher and tax and stuff like that, and we've same accounting rules, for God's sake, exact same, Yeah. So maybe, who knows?
Yeah, Edinburgh is not warm. I was saying to my wife, it's like I woke up this morning, you couldn't see across the road through the mist. It's been raining for the last 2 hours, and I think it's been 3 weeks now since I last wore a t-shirt only outside. it's August. Well, it was. It's now September. Like, I shouldn't have to put on a long sleeve top in August. Yeah, it's not been a good summer.
Yeah, I think this is the whole point of one of the reasons why I started this business. Was a couple of freedoms. Yeah, freedom to work wherever you want, and that's kind of still the approach. The approach is to build a business and to have that freedom. So I would imagine I would have remote working staff, not necessarily in an office. There's pros and cons to having people in an office, especially trainees, and to learn and experience what's going on around them, and that shoulder to shoulder approach to learning.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it shouldn't matter if I'm in Ireland, in Spain, Portugal, the UK. To deliver services in the UK, it would be a lot easier than delivering services in Ireland, that's for sure. But it's like, it's crazy because it just popped into my head there. So I do conversions and setups and training to QuickBooks Online.
Yeah.
I had an accountant call me there a couple of months ago saying a client of theirs is on a piece of software. It's not working out for them. They want to go on to QuickBooks. And so I've now set them up, okay, which is funny. So they have an external accountant, an internal accountant, somebody like me who visits them 1 day a week, right? And then there's me, and she calls me the systems accountant because I set them up. And I was like, funny, this client is now using 3 accountants.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy. An external accountant who doesn't understand QuickBooks, internal accountant 1 day a week to do the bookkeeping and management accounts and payroll, and then there's me who's now come in for the last 2 months to get them set up and running on QuickBooks Online. And it's like, and it goes back to the cafe owner actually when I think about it now as well. He'd like to get his system set up, get real-time information, what he's selling, and is 9 o'clock in the morning my best time to sell coffee, or is it 3 o'clock in the afternoon? But there's just that reluctance to change. And I think in the UK, now, Johann, you can tell me if I'm right or wrong here, but I always had this perception in the UK, business owners see accounting services more as services rather than Ireland, where it's like baptism. Once you're baptized into an accountancy practice, you're there for life until you're...
8 years ago, it used to be like that in the UK, but now it is about service, support, etc. I mean, you still come across the odd person of, I've been using this person because that's who my dad used. Like, it's still out there, but it's nowhere near as prevalent as it used to be.
Yeah, I think that's a big challenge over here. There's very much like over here, a lot of networks is based around the local kind of football club, like the GAA over here. And I think what's really important is that, they talk to each other and say, who's your accountant? Oh, I use Barry in town. He's great. But is he really? Like, how do you know what a great accountant is, And I see this more and more. It's like you get phone calls going, I have an external accountant, does a year-end books, but he doesn't know much about QuickBooks. Can you give us some training or set us up on QuickBooks? And then you say, well, hold on a minute. Now I've looked at your bookkeeping. There's a lot of mistakes in here. The quality is not great, but who's checking on that for them? It's ridiculous. So I think as we talk about this more and more, this industry in Ireland is changing. And I've had conversations with some accountants that are near the end of kind of like their careers. And it's like, right, let's start digitalizing your practice. Like you've literally 3 rooms of filing cabinets here. We could digitalize your practice. And I'm like, no, I've been doing this 40 odd years. I'm not changing now, Yeah. And they're like, well, what are you going to do then when you retire? It's like, I'm going to sell the business. I goes, you're not going to have a business to sell here. You may have clients, but you're not going to get the value you think from these clients when you sell them. Because the way your systems are set up at the minute and the bad habits that your clients have. So they're actually doing themselves an injustice, I think, as well. As the model itself changes, you have a whole raft of these accountancy practices that are going to come up for sale in the next 10 years. And they're not going to get the value and the return that they're expecting because they haven't digitalized or brought their business into the future.
Absolutely, yeah. I've had conversations like that at many an event saying, look, I get why you don't want to modernize because what's the point? You've only got a year or 2 left. But if you want maximum value for your business, then you need to modernize. So, yeah, chicken and egg situation in many cases.
Just on that point, though, what we've actually found here. So the idea was here. Let's go to all these accountancy practices and let's just digitalize them all. Okay, let's help everybody get on board. The more people are on board, the more the QuickBooks and all of these software companies will go, wow, the heat map is getting hot over here. Hard to ignore it, right? It's actually easier to digitalize their clients than it is to digitalize accounting practices.
Yeah.
And then these guys, like the guy we're working with there, is like, anybody wants QuickBooks, I'm sending them to you, right? So all of these guys are eventually going to go, hold on a minute. Clive does stuff with tech, and he does stuff with accounting, and he talks like in simple terms, and we have conversations more than once a year. What the heck is going on here? The clients will make the decisions for the accounting practices. And the accountancy owners will be like, hey, he's taking all our clients, or don't like him. But it's not.
Yeah.
It's the client saying, we need better, we need more. You're not willing to change and give us that, so we're moving with our feet, And it's starting to become a thing. It really is.
And that's exactly how it works in the UK over the last 8 years. Of, I want up-to-date insights on my business. You don't offer me that. I'll go find somewhere that does.
Yeah.
So
that's where it's moving. That's where it's going.
Definitely is. I'm definitely getting deja vu. Like, what is happening in Ireland is what happened in the UK 8 years ago.
Good.
Yeah. Right.
That's a good sign.
Now, in an attempt to help modernize the Irish accounting and bookkeeping industry, you've also got a podcast, I believe. And I believe your co-hosts popped up in the comments. So good morning to Neil. There he is. Neil tuned in.
Yeah. So we have a podcast. It's called Making Finance Fun. So and it is aimed at having good conversations and the crack around finance and non-finance thing, like wealth and pensions, and building a life that really works for you as well. So the industry has been covered really well with you guys, but so we decided to make a different spin on it. And we had a conversation before this, and it's really hard doing a podcast on your own. So with Making Finance Fun, it was about two lads. I've met Neil a couple of times. I met him online initially. I flew over to the UK for my nan's 90th like a year or two ago. I said, hey, Neil, can I call in for a cup of tea? He's like, yeah, come on in. And he's just a really cool guy, and we get on really well, very similar in thought and mind and stuff like that. So we said, feck it, let's do this, And so we started a couple episodes. I think we're on episode 10 now. So we do it every 2 weeks, every Friday, into Facebook and LinkedIn and all of these other really cool places. But the feedback, Johann, is just incredible. It's like, especially here in Ireland, it's like, I can't believe accountants are talking about topics like how to price your services or business, how to digitalize what you do, how do you plan for the future? And it's like, why isn't my accountant talking to me about these things? Oh, what do you mean this Dex app or Apron, and what's all that about?
Yep.
Why isn't my accountant talking to me about these things? And the feedback has been really good, and it's encouraging us now to push on. So we had a guest there, Ryan Jones, a couple of episodes back, and he was really good. He's like a business coach, mentor. We got some really good names coming up. We're going to release this week a big name that actually you guys have had a chat with in the Brewdog as well. So we're looking forward to announcing that. And we got a really good topic coming up that I don't think anybody in the business world is really talking about. That's very particular to business owners of a certain segment as such. So I'm going to keep that behind the curtains for now, because that's really good. It's going to be really exciting. But yeah, it's about building awareness for other business owners, what they can and should be talking to their accountants about. And sometimes even in the podcast, it just goes off topic. Like it just, it can be so frustrating at times that people are being underserved in this industry.
Yeah.
That you got to kind of put yourself out there and speak out about. Look, ultimately, as I say to Neil, after the thing is over and we go off live and all that sort of jazz, I say, yeah, I really love doing this. I can't wait to the next one. And it's just two lads talking about what they know, they like, and they do. And as Neil always says, if you do something and you like it and you're passionate about it, tell people about it. Tell people about it.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
yeah,
When is
say
it
that.
on, and how often is it on?
Yeah, so every second Friday at 10 a.m. on our Facebook groups. So if you want to join in, Neil's is Making Finance Fun Facebook group. Mine is Ask About Business Ireland Facebook group. But you can tune in to our LinkedIn lives as well. And then on the back of that, we've put them on YouTube, which is crazy actually, because a guy rang me up. No, he didn't ring me up. He booked a call with me. And he says, I seen you on YouTube. I watched your YouTube stuff, thought you're pretty sound. And on the back of that, he books a call with you, which I think is, holy hell, this is fantastic. So they kind of get to know you before you even say anything, which is brilliant. And it's the way I suppose it needs to be as well, that they need to like, know, and trust you sort of thing. We've spoken about this before. Because I know if you go to a builder or something, you don't know them from Adam. You're you know, have you used them? Have you used them? Sort of thing. And you're hoping and praying that they're the right guys for you. But if they, like what you and Aaron do, if you have stuff online and you meet Johann for a cup of coffee, you kind of know Johann before you meet him, right? So
Exactly.
that's the idea. Look, it's a bit of crack. It's a bit of fun. It's talking about topics we enjoy talking to about, and sort of things we talk to clients about anyway. So why not just kind of push it out there into the big wide world of the internet?
Yeah, and doing any kind of, even if you're just a guest on a podcast or a video, like, it's phenomenal. So I was a guest on a podcast / video for a acquisitions coach 2 years ago this month. I still get inquiries off the back of that.
Wow.
Because people have like, I like your talk, I like how you talk open and honestly, and you're plain English. I like the fact that you've demonstrated your expertise, etc. So if you can go on, I built my business on demonstrating expertise. Like, one of the first things I did when I started my bookkeeping firm 2017 was I used to go and volunteer my time to a local charity that supported startup businesses. And I would go and do once a month a 1 hour bookkeeping basics session for all these new businesses starting up. I could guarantee within a week, 50% of that room would have signed up to me, because they've gone, I get it, but I haven't got time for it, or this is out of my remit. This is you. Within 6 months, I always had 90% of each room signed up to me, because they just needed a little bit more time to get into the right position for it. So yeah, demonstrating expertise. That's all we are doing with these podcasts, is demonstrating our expertise. So, when I talk about things in the accounting space, it comes with some authority because I've demonstrated my expertise, and people have said, Johann's got his podcast, blah, blah, blah. Like Aaron, everyone goes to Aaron for QuickBooks because he's demonstrated his expertise through his YouTube videos and stuff. It's a great, great tool to have for people, because we all buy from people, don't we? Like, all right, yes, we buy from Amazon, but we expect the best price from that. Whereas if you're paying for something more expensive, you buy from people. So, yeah, it's a great tool to have in your repertoire.
I think I've had this conversation with Neil as well. Like, and it goes back to our earlier point about spending money to save time and using that time on other things you can use to push the needle forward. And we've both said, like, if we enjoy the social media or the marketing end of things, it's probably one of the areas that we would not kind of outsource or get somebody else to do it. Now, I know you have Lizzie there behind you as well. She's brilliant, maybe somebody like that, but as in to give it up and give it over to somebody else, absolutely not. It's too much fun. It really is.
Exactly. Yeah. And like, technology makes this easier. So like, we're currently streaming to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 11 different platforms and accounts right now. And then Lizzie will take this, upload it to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever else she uploads it to the next day. So yeah, it's so easy to use the right technology to get this across. And it always baffles me when people just go, we just stream to use the LinkedIn tool. It's like, that's great for one audience, but as Aaron and I
So
always
many.
refer to it, we cluster bomb social media just to see what sticks. Yeah.
So you open up your YouTube app and it's like Johann and Aaron and Johann and Aaron. It's like, God, I can't get to Jason yet.
But yeah. So, anyone that's not listened to Clive and Neil's podcast, please give them a search on for those Facebook groups, or have a look through their LinkedIn profiles, and you'll find the previous recordings, and tune in live every second Wednesday.
Friday, every second Friday.
Right. So every second Friday.
Friday the 13th is our big guest announcement. We'll be releasing that announcement this week. So Friday the 13th is our second big guest. So that's going to be pretty cool because you've spoken to him already. Yeah. I'm so excited.
Looking forward to seeing who that is.
Yeah.
So we'll just go through a couple of comments. Good morning to Victoria. That's not Aaron. And Ashley Leeds also says, late to the party and wondered what Aaron has done to his beard. Nope, it's Clive. Hi guys. Yeah, Aaron is still enjoying his trip to Las Vegas, where he is seeing the Killers, just for a change, and spending a couple of weeks of well-deserved R&R. So, 15 days to go, Clive. 15 days until Accountex Manchester, or Accountex North, as they officially call it. Are you coming over?
Yes, I'm still waiting for my permission slip to be signed off. But look, it's so easy. I like Manchester. I really actually do like Manchester. The connectivity from Ireland to the UK is just so good. So like you get a 6:30 flight out of Dublin, you're in the convention center for 9 p.m. straight there, no problem. Like you could go to Accountex London as well. Like I've gotten to the digital accountancy show at 9 o'clock as well from flying out from Dublin. This connectivity is great. So anybody tuned in from Ireland, you want to go to Accountex in Manchester, Accountex North, do. It's definitely a smaller venue. Some great opportunities to talk to vendors, like more time with vendors. Talk to the likes of Aaron and Johann here as well in their podcast Pit Stop, which I see the registrations have opened for there last week.
They are now open. Yep.
Nice. Is there still tickets available on like Oasis?
I think we sell out quicker than Oasis. You know.
Ooh, yes.
That's what happens when you're the Anton Deck of the accounting world.
True, and hopefully you've no dynamic pricing on your demand there as well.
Well, no.
Okay.
No, we don't charge for the privilege of podcast pit stops. Maybe we should. Right. Maybe that's where we're going wrong. Yeah, I just love it though that Tim's coming in from Guernsey, you're coming over from Ireland. Though we see people travel hours and hours and hours. Yet someone an hour and a half away by car says it's too far away for them. Like, oh, I'm not going there. That's 2 hours away. I want something more central. So, well, yeah, it upsets me. I think it annoys me more because I know wherever I go, I've got a 4-hour trip ahead of me, whether it's London or Manchester or Birmingham. It's a 4 hours on the train, give or take a bit. So yeah, if people like yourself and Tim can make the effort, then those that are only a couple of hours away should be making the effort as well. And
yeah,
stop complaining that it's not closer to you.
Oh Christ, lads! Okay, it's not far, and what you need to do is you need to make a day out of it and not just go for the actual event itself. So for me and my plan this time around is to meet the vendors, build closer relationships with the vendors. And because it's a smaller venue, and I know that my vendors that I use are going to be there, it's going to be a great opportunity to have a chat with them as well, and maybe book in further calls about what's happening in terms of the product and the roadmap. So that's really important. It's a great opportunity to do that. Secondly, you get to meet up with people that you don't see in the industry, but you may talk to them on LinkedIn, you may talk to them on WhatsApp, and so on and so forth. So there's a couple of guys here in Ireland that are going over, and we'll meet up in person, and that's great to have that connection, build up that community, and have like shared valued conversations with these guys as well. So I never really see it as I'm going to travel for 2 hours to go for an event, to sit on my backside and listen to talks and talk to people about their products. It's actually the other stuff that happens before and after the event that is just as worthwhile going for the event as well. So like I'll meet up with Neil there. We'll go out for dinner and have the crack as well. There's other accountancy practice owners and bookkeepers here in Ireland. And like I know one there, like Rita, for example, will be coming all the way from Mayo. She has a trek and a half to come, right? But she'll be there and she'll like introduce, I know Joe and I know Zoe from the Six Figure Bookkeeper Club. So actually having a lunch for the members, come on in and I'll introduce you. Like, there's sort of these conversations you can't have by staying at home. And guys, listen, the UK, you can get a train to anywhere in the UK, right? In Ireland, I had to go pick up a dehumidifier. I had to drive an hour to Dublin to pick up one in a shop, literally take a 2-minute break and drive all the way home again, right? Like, I'm not saying that we're very backward or anything like that, but you got trains and they go everywhere. And it's like, it just reminds me, guys, just go to the bloody shows, go to the events, right? We have none. We have no events, right? You have bloody 4. I hear there's a new one called Engager Labs, something like that.
Yeah, I heard a rumor.
Yeah. I suppose the tickets are sold out for that already, I believe. And it's never filled. No, but guys, you got like major events in the UK, right? So you got Engager Labs, you got what is it, the bookkeeping one? I can't remember what it's called. Fab
Festival of Accountants and Bookkeepers.
You got DAS, you got Accountex London, you got Accountex North, and you have all the road shows, right? In Ireland, we've none, guys, none, right? So just grab an opportunity with both hands. You just never know what happens at these bloody things. And that's why I go. It's who you meet. Yeah. Johann, September last year, right? You told me I was coming on the Pit Stop podcast.
Yes.
And that has led to this and everything else. And I was like, holy crap. So sometimes you just don't say no. You go with it. But also, like, the train thing actually just popped into my head. I'm sorry for taking up your time. Rye Sutherland. Do you ever hear that guy? The price and marketing guy, Rory Sutherland. Like Rory came, as he said, famous accidentally on TED Talks because he made a joke about the Euro channel tunnel thingy. It's like this spent 60 billion to increase the travel time or reduce it by 20 minutes, right? And he's like, why didn't it spend 50 million improving the Wi-Fi? Why didn't it spend 100 million getting supermodels and stuff in there? Because then people would ask for the train to be slowed down. So what he's talking about is the experiences, okay? And what you probably see at these events is that the experiences are improving. It's not just go and it's grey and it's corporate. As you said, we wear shorts and open sandal shoes and stuff to these events now, So it's the experiences, I think, is what people are going to come for, as well as the insights, All right, I'll be quiet. Sorry.
No, carry on. You're completely right. It's a fantastic event. Engager will be there for their first ever live exhibit. I'm sure that was on the top of your wanting to visit exhibitors list.
It's the only thing on my list.
That does not make it a list, sir.
Oh, right. Okay.
You're going to have to put at least one more thing on there for it to be a list. So we're going to be there. It looks like a fantastic event, as always, with some great speakers lined up, some great topics. And it's as like Clive was saying, this is such a good event. There's 3,500 people maybe turn up, but they're spread out in such a great venue that you can have genuinely brilliant conversations with your providers and build on those working relationships or find new providers. Absolutely great event. We hope to see absolutely everybody there. Ask the Accountant podcast pit stops will be there, as we were last year and as we were at Accountex London. So huge thanks to Accountex and Caroline for organising that for us. Keep an eye on our socials. The links are out there for you to be able to book into our calendar to book a 20-minute podcast pit stop with us. Whether it'll be myself or Aaron that interviews you will depend on the rest of our days. but one of us will be there to interview you if you are booked in. And don't hold off until the day to book in. We will be fully booked. But if there's any spaces now after a week, it'll be a miracle. But yes, so right, just go through the comments one last time. Good morning to Susanna. Ashley says he'll be leaving on Wednesday because his tractor takes a while from Devon. So I'm not going to comment on that because only someone from Devon can make that comment. Kirsty says, don't forget the ICB UK event in November as well. And Ashley says, is there anything going on in the evenings? So the night of Accountex, they don't normally do anything. There'll be normally like a drinks reception right at the end for a couple of beers or glasses of wine, and that's it. Because it's a one-day event, it's less formal. There's several software vendors that will be organizing private shindigs the night before normally. So, some of the softwares will take some of their members out for like pizza and drinks and stuff like that. And I believe the digital accountancy, Digi Tools for an Accrual World team are putting on an events evening for the digital disruptors, an awards evening for the digital disruptors as well. So yeah, nothing formal and official on the Accountex website, but there's normally bits and pieces going on around the place. It's a tough one because as much as I'd love to be doing stuff the night before and meeting up with people and stuff, we've got multi cameras and microphones and sound stuff to set up ready for the day before. You don't go in on the morning of Accountex North to set up then. You do not have time. You will find all the technical bugs in the world doing it that way. So yeah, we'll be in there setting that up. And then I think the client engager team are going out for a beer and a burger after the event to debrief and go through everything. And we all work remotely, so we don't get to say hello to each other very often in person. So that'd be good, especially as a full team. So yeah. And Clive, have you seen anything else going on in the evenings, or is?
Yeah, it depends. Like, I suppose there's no reason why, if there's a couple of ye on Facebook or on WhatsApp, you can go and arrange your own events. If you kind of go, hey, is anybody going to a Kentex in 2 weeks? Yeah, I'm going. Okay, do you fancy coming to? I'm sure you go to Manchester. You go yoga classes at 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm sure the 5 o'clock a.m. guys are up and doing something like that. So there's an opportunity for you to organize your own events as well.
Yeah.
Just, like everybody
stuff. And
yeah,
organize it.
Everybody meet at the Brewdog at 7 o'clock for burgers and a beer, whatever it may be. That kind of way.
I'm staying at the Brewdog.
Have you a spare room? Spare bed?
No.
Oh, okay. All right, fair enough.
I booked that well in advance. As soon as we knew we were going, it's like, right, I'm booking my own accommodation.
So you get the one with the beer shower.
Yeah, just for beer shower. Yeah, Brewdog Hotel is fantastic.
Oh, thanks, rub it in there. Anybody wants to meet with me for a coffee or a beer or a burger, I'm staying in the very exclusive Premier Inn across the road. Okay.
Yep, there we go. That's a good Premier Inn.
It actually is very central. It's good. So for me, like it's like get off the tram there, right? Go to Premier Inn, throw the bags in the back of the reception, walk across the road into the venue, and then your hands free for the rest of the day. Yeah, absolutely. And then jump back to the hotel, freshen up, and then head out for the night. And yeah, it's pretty cool. It's convenient. But the Brewdog would be amazing, though.
Yeah, I've stayed there a few times now, and it's as soon as I know I'm doing anything in Manchester, like Brewdog, straight away, straight onto booking.com.
Oh,
yeah, very
good
menu.
Sounds
brilliant.
Good.
Well, Clive, thank you so much for joining me today and filling Aaron's seat and telling us all about how, in some ways, Ireland's ahead of us, and in other ways, you guys are dealing now with what we dealt with 8 years ago. Like, very much deja vu episode for me this week, but very much. It was nice to be reminded of the challenges and the place we came from as a UK industry and where we've got to. And when I'm sat there going, oh my God, will this industry ever change? I can go, actually, yes, it can. So thank you for reminding me about that, Clive. That was
You're more than welcome.
Very welcomed. Clive, if anyone wants to reach out to you, how can they do that?
Yeah, so folks, my website is bluestoneaccounting.ie. You can find me on LinkedIn under Clive Hand, or I got a new YouTube channel. It's Clive Hand, the QuickBooks accountant. Either way, send me a message and we'll give you a shout back, folks. Thank you very much.
There we go, people. Go and subscribe, follow, all of that good social media stuff.
Yeah, super duper.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much, Clive, for joining us. Thank you to all of our commenters and viewers. As always, the show is kept true and honest by you being here. So thank you for joining us. And join us next week for episode 98, when Mr. Patrick will be making his return. We'll see you all next week, he says when he finds the outro. There we go. Goodbye.